Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Thank you. Very good morning to one and all. I welcome you all for this session. Kanav sir, Dr. Kanav Keda gave you a very detailed lecture on what is clinical pharmacist services, what is pharmaceutical care, what is the role.
Excuse me,
Everything
ma'am.
was shared by.
Ma'am? Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
sir.
Now all the participants have not yet joined, I think, in the Zoom meeting. Can we stop?
Yes, sir. They are watching
Okay,
in
okay,
YouTube.
all right,
So
ma'am.
students will
Okay.
not join. Give me a minute, 1 minute. They are watching.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so 1 minute. Okay, you were told in detail about the role of MPharm pharmacy practice students. How do they start their clinical ward rounds? How they are being oriented towards pharmacy practice program? What are the different roles of a pharmacy practice student during the ward rounds? How to communicate with the patient? How to communicate to a healthcare professional? You will be trained in each and every aspect to perform your role as a clinical pharmacist. So once you are trained in medication history interview, patient counseling, medication reconciliation, everything in delivering a complete pharmaceutical care for a patient in order to improve the patient health outcomes, you will be completely trained during your MPharm pharmacy practice program. Then you will be made like you will be very sound when you go for work while working in the industry after your MPharm pharmacy practice. So here I'm going to discuss you about the different career options, global career options after MPharm pharmacy practice. I'm Dr. Saranya Punyakoti, Associate Professor in the Department of Pharmacy Practice, Lovely Institute of Technology, Lovely Professional University. I have completed my UG, BPharm, MPharm, my PG, MPharm, and PhD, all the three courses from Tamil Nadu. And I have around 13 years of teaching experience in pharmacy practice. I started my career in academics. Okay, that is also one important career option after your MPharm pharmacy practice. If you are interested, you can do well in academics as well. Okay, let us see what are the different global career options. Okay, as sir has told you, clinical pharmacists, they play a crucial role in a healthcare team, right? Once a patient is prescribed with the medication, once a patient gets admitted, or before a patient gets admitted, a patient may approach a clinical pharmacist, a community pharmacist. Patient will be talking to the pharmacist about the complaints, what the problems the patient is facing, and the community pharmacist or the clinical pharmacist will be able to help the patient to move further. As a consultant, a pharmacist can also help the patient as a consultant. So a clinical pharmacist play a very crucial role in a healthcare team. Shoulder to shoulder, he works with the physician and the other healthcare professionals like nurses, radiologists, everyone. Okay, they optimize medication use and improve patient population health outcomes. They can help improve the medication use and adherence by counseling the patient, by educating the patient about the disease conditions, by educating the patient about the different drugs the patient is receiving. You can help the patient to improve the medication adherence and medication use, can expand the access to care and reduce the healthcare cost while participating in pharmacoeconomic research and economic studies in a hospital setting or any healthcare practice. Globally, pharmacists, clinical pharmacists are also involved or also practice collaborative prescribing. They have some, in countries like where licensure is examined, regulatory authorities have licensure, govern the licensure, pharmacist licensure. Say, for example, countries like Canada, USA, and Australia, they have collaborative practice agreements. Clinical pharmacists have collaborative practice agreements, so they have a formal practice relationship between a pharmacist and the prescriber. They are involved in prescribing for minor ailments. So there could, clinical pharmacists could play a role as a role in collaborative prescribing and autonomous prescribing in prescribing specific drug categories for specific disease conditions, probably for a chronic condition. So a clinical pharmacist plays a very important role in a healthcare team. So after you complete your MPharm pharmacy practice, you will be able to help the patient in each and every aspects during when they seek for healthcare. What are the other global career options? I have listed few global career options here. You can see autonomous academia. After MPharm pharmacy practice, you can enter into teaching. We will see in detail about one by one later. So here is the list: academia, ambulatory care, chain and community pharmacy management, clinical specialist, community health center, corporate management, contract research organization, health system pharmacy for inpatients as well as outpatients, medical communications, nuclear pharmacy, medical liaison. All these are the global career options. Medical writing, pharmacovigilance, pharmacometrics, all these will be discussed in detail in the next session by our colleague. So I'm going to tell you in brief about these global career options. Academia. After MPharm pharmacy practice, you can enter into teaching. It is an attractive option for clinical pharmacists who enjoy working with students while engaging in clinical practice. You will also be there in clinical practice because you are the one who is going to train the budding pharmacist, budding clinical pharmacist. Like you are going to orient them towards the healthcare. You are going to train them in each and every aspects of clinical pharmacy. So you will be in clinical practice and you will also be practicing clinical research. So it is a very attractive option. You will be helping the students to learn as well as you will be practicing your profession. You will be researching and helping the community as well. So it's a very attractive opportunity. And if you see the duties of an academic pharmacist, it includes administrative activities. They are involved in research as well, scientific research. They teach the professional student pharmacists because it is mentioned here professional student pharmacist because you complete your BPharm and enter into your MPharm. So you are a professional pharmacist with student learning about clinical pharmacy. You can supervise research. You can supervise the research for PG students, UG students. You can teach the graduate students. You will be speaking in public venues, scientific venues. You will be publishing the research papers or everything, whatever you have researched. And you can advise the students, teach the student pharmacists, all these through experiential practice sites. So this is about academia. You will have a very good time teaching the students as well as practicing what you have learned. And you will be learning. Medicine is it cannot go outdated, right? Every day a new medicine is coming into the market and a new condition is also identified. So medical research is going on and it will go on throughout, right? So you will be learning about all these and you will be updating yourself. So it will be a very interesting part in academics. And the next option is ambulatory care. So you help the outpatients. This is pharmacist role is accountable for addressing medication needs, developing sustained partnerships with patients, and practicing in context of family and community. So if you see a community pharmacist will be the first person to be approached by a patient from the public. So say for example, the patient has developed a headache. Okay, so he will approach, even you or I will approach the pharmacist to go ask for a medication, right? So the first point of contact will be the community pharmacist. So you will be in contact with the public. You will be practicing. You will be having a direct patient. You will deliver direct patient care. You will practice management. You will be involved in public health, medical informatics, professional development, and patient advocacy. So these will be your roles as a clinical pharmacist in ambulatory care. Ambulatory care is also a very promising option. And if you see in India, now chain community pharmacies are growing, right? So many chain community pharmacies are there. You have Apollo pharmacies, you have Tulsi pharmacies, other pharmacies also. Chain community pharmacies are growing, right? MedPlus is there. So this chain pharmacy provides two primary career paths for pharmacists. One is you can be involved in the management of the chain community pharmacy, or you can practice as a clinical pharmacist in a chain community pharmacy. So you may have two paths. So it will be an excellent opportunity to conduct basic preliminary health assessments of patients when you are in a community pharmacy. So you will be able to identify, say a patient is taking a medication, he develops an adverse effect. Patient will come to the pharmacist first, explain it to you, and you will be able to assess what has caused, what could be the reason for the complaint, and what the patient has to do, whether he has to stop the medication, or whether he has to whether he can ignore it, or how he can manage the adverse effect, or an intervention by a physician is required, whether the patient should go and meet the physician. Everything can be assessed by a clinical pharmacist practicing in community pharmacy. You will be involved for a quick evaluation of symptoms. You will be looking into the lab values of the patient and other indicators. All these can be helpful in directing patient's therapy, especially as a community pharmacist. So you can look into the patient's symptoms. When a patient is presenting with the case sheet, you can talk to the patient, learn about the complaints of the patient, and look into the case sheet. You can look for the laboratory values and other indicators, and you can help the patient how to move, whom to contact as a community pharmacist. So that will be your role. And chain community pharmacies are many in number in India, so you have a very promising role even there. And this is a growing area. Clinical specialist, Pranav sir also told about all these. Clinical specialist is a growing area. You can follow a great number of career paths here. Too many specializations are there. You can get certified as a specialist in other countries. We don't have a certification here. After your MPharm, specialty certification is not available. But by the time you complete your course and you start your career and as a clinical specialist, this will also come as the regulatory conditions are improving in India. So pharmacists can specialize in practice areas similar to the medical specialties. You can be involved in ambulatory care, you can be involved in cardiology, oncology, nephrology, diabetology, diabetic care, hematology, terminally ill patients, hospice patients, immunization services, long-term care, geriatrics, elderly patients. All these are few of the specialists, clinical specialists I have listed here. There are even more. So this will be like how we talk about a cardiologist. After medicine, a physician could have done cardiology, right? So like that, likewise, pharmacist specialized in cardiology, pharmacist specialized in oncology. So you will be providing service to that particular department, and your expertise will improve, and your role will become very important in the healthcare team as a specialist. So this is a very promising area now. You can imagine the population of India and the morbidity and morbidity of non-communicable diseases and communicable diseases. So specialists are required. Even antibiotic stewardships, that is also one another specialty. So this is another option, clinical specialist. Then community health center. So here in community health center, pharmacists provide the needed healthcare services and information to the underserved, those who are not given proper service. For them, you provide the healthcare services that is required. You will be providing informations also, medical informations. You also conduct wellness and preventive health programs. There could be a diverse responsibilities as a pharmacist in the community health center. You will be dispensing medications. You can counsel a patient. Counseling is not like while you study your MPharm pharmacy practice, you will be trained for counseling, how to start a session, how to approach the patient, how to detail the patient about the disease condition, what are the key points to be addressed to a patient while you counsel the patient about the drugs. Everything will be told to the patient. You will be trained for such aspect. Patient counseling is not like only telling the patient, you have to take this medication after food or before food in the morning or night. That is also a part of patient counseling. That alone is not patient counseling. You will be trained for actual patient counseling. What to do when an adverse effect is there, what to do when you miss a dose, when to contact a physician when you have an adverse effect. Everything will be told during a patient counseling session. So you will be trained particularly for patient counseling. Then you can be involved in business and department management, medication therapy management, disease management, and personal management. So these are the different roles as a pharmacist in community health center. Then in contract research organization, that is CROs, rather than the full form, CRO is a very common, very well known terminology for everyone. CROs are involved in clinical research, right? So this will be discussed in detail in the next session by my colleague. So I'm going to give you only a brief information what is there. Services of a pharmacist in a contract research organization can include, but it is not limited to, product development, formulation activities, all the phases of clinical trials, phase 1 through phase 4 activities, data entry and management, project management, institutional review board approval for the ethics, and statistical analysis and other required activities necessary for a new drug application and abbreviated new drug application. So when a new drug application is placed, so it has to undergo several phases of research. So everything could be taken care by your contract research organization. So there are many roles played by clinical pharmacists in a contract research organization. You could be a clinical research coordinator, research associate, it could be a monitor. You could be involved in data analysis, statistical analysis. You could be involved in protocol writing. So many roles are there that will be discussed in detail in the next session. Another option is corporate management. You will describe management position as a pharmacist. Corporate manager describes management positions for pharmacists who work in a corporate environment. This could be found in functional areas such as site operations supervision, store operation supervision. It could be in regulatory affairs. You could be a manager in regulatory affairs. It could be in clinical support, in human resources section, in information technology, and others. So you also have a role in corporate management as a manager. And government pharmacy. Too many pharmacies are there. And as a clinical pharmacist, whatever role was discussed in the previous session, whatever was told as your role can be delivered in a government pharmacy. Okay, medication therapy management services, dispensing, and other drug-related activities. You can screen the patient for drug-related problems. You can screen the patient for an adverse reaction, for a drug-drug interaction. Everything could be done in a government pharmacy. You could also be involved in managing and administering pharmacy departments within the government branch. You can review new drug applications and health administration, and many other roles are there there for a pharmacist in a government pharmacy. you should also focus on the emergency preparedness. So when you are working in a government pharmacy, whether it's a state pharmacy or a national pharmacy, you should be prepared for an emergency situation. That is also a component of pharmacist in government pharmacy, pharmacist service in government pharmacy. So that is another option. Next is health system pharmacy for inpatients and outpatients. A staff pharmacist may have exposure to oncology. A pharmacist can be involved in preparing the intravenous medication admixtures. A pharmacist could be involved in preparing the pediatric dosages, neonatal care. Pharmacists could be involved in preparing the nutrition, parenteral nutrition, total parenteral nutrition, pain therapy, involved in geriatric care, and much more. So many roles are there in inpatient pharmacists. So the staff pharmacist face a varied set of responsibilities, including dispensing medication, making a purchase decision. So which brand to purchase, what to purchase, how to purchase, how much to purchase, everything, making purchasing decision, monitoring drug therapy. Say certain drugs are there, certain drugs have a narrow therapeutic index. So such drugs has to be monitored. So a pharmacist could be involved in monitoring drug therapy. You should monitor the patient for the parameters, like whether the patient is responding well, is there a sign of toxicity, or is there a sign of therapeutic failure, should a TDM be ordered. So that could be done. Monitoring drug therapy. Say if a patient is on an anticoagulant, patient's clotting time, prothrombin time, or INR has to be monitored. So a pharmacist, inpatient pharmacist could be involved in monitoring drug therapy, preparing intravenous medication, and overseeing drug administration. Sometimes drug administrations could be missed, or it could be given late. So overseeing drug administration is also a role of a pharmacist, inpatient health system pharmacist. Okay. In outpatients, the health system pharmacists provide multiple roles ranging from dispensing to counseling and medication therapy management services. And in this environment, it provides one-to-one opportunity to speak with the pharmacist and the patient, and the pharmacist could schedule a medication therapy management services or disease management services. So that is with the health system pharmacy. In nuclear pharmacy, very well paid option. And nuclear pharmacy, the pharmacist in a nuclear pharmacy will be involved in preparation of radioactive materials. So these will be given to improve and promote health through safe and effective use of radioactive drugs to diagnose and treat specific disease states. So this is a very promising option. So pharmacists are paid well in nuclear pharmacy. Nuclear pharmacists are employed in institutional nuclear pharmacy and commercial centralized nuclear pharmacies. In India, we have nuclear pharmacies with Christian Medical College, with AIMS Institute, and so on. Very well paid. You are going to handle with radioactive drugs. So that is why it is nuclear pharmacy and nuclear pharmacist. And the next option is long-term care. A long-term care pharmacist is engaged by a long-term care pharmacy. So the pharmacist will provide pharmacy services, infusion, education to the patient, to a specific patient population. So those who require a long-term care. Okay, pharmacists also provide consultation and other related services for a specific patient population in long-term care. There are two general career paths in long-term care. One focus in dispensing or management operations, and other is on the consultant services. So the patient population will be completely taken care by the long-term care pharmacist. So that is another option. Medical communications and drug information. Drug information, providing drug information, poison information, or other medical communications is also a role of a clinical pharmacist. Even during your course of study, you will be trained to to provide drug information and poison information, how to receive the query, how to handle the query, what are the different steps to process the drug information query or poison information query, how to formulate the answer, how to provide the answer, everything. You will be trained to provide drug information. What are the different resources to be searched? So you will be trained to provide drug information. So drug information pharmacist is also another career option. Pharmacists provide educational services about pharmaceutical products for healthcare professionals, pharmaceutical industry personnel, and consumers. So a medical communication pharmacist or drug information pharmacist can be employed by medical communication firms, pharmaceutical manufacturers, academic institutions, hospitals where the drug and poison information center is there, managed care organizations, hospitals, professional associations, and clinical research organizations and others. So these are the different stakeholders who give options for drug information pharmacists. Then you have the pharmaceutical industry medical science liaison. Medical science liaisons officers, they are they educate the professionals, the other healthcare professionals about the uses, merits, and scientific data related to the product produced by a pharmaceutical company. Say, for example, you are hired as a medical science liaison officer in Pfizer. You will be gathering all the information about the products produced by Pfizer in a particular section, and you will be looking about the uses, merits, and other scientific data updates in the product, and you will be giving such information to the healthcare professional. So that is the role of a medical science liaison officer. So experienced and successful medical science liaisons will with administrative and management of abilities, they will be risen to the next level as supervisor or executive post in the pharmaceutical industry. So this is another option. So say, for example, you are into the executive team, the medical representative team. Those medical representatives will be trained by a medical science liaison officer. He will be providing information about the products to the medical representatives as well as to the healthcare professionals and other associations. That is another option. Next is research and development. Research and development is there in all the fields. So in pharmacy practice, we need not say it is a very wide area. So pharmacists could be involved in research, project management, business organization, department management activities, data management, human data management, and to say, for example, you are conducting a ADR monitoring study. Okay, so you will be having the patient data, ADRs observed in certain patients. Then you will be processing that data. That data could be used for generating a safety update. Okay, so you will be trained in data management. You can conduct researches. You can work on projects. So research and development activities may take on many forms, ranging from development of new chemical or drug entities to the evaluation of existing products for alternative indications. Say, for example, carbamazepine. Carbamazepine was a drug that was initially introduced for the management of trigeminal neuralgia. Now, carbamazepine is widely used in the management of epilepsy. Later on, when in patients with trigeminal neuralgia, when it was observed that it was the threshold to develop epilepsy was increased in patients receiving carbamazepine. So an alternative indication was observed with carbamazepine. So even such kind of researches could be taken. A drug which was introduced for trigeminal neuralgia was found to have an action against epilepsy also, helped in the management of epilepsy also. So you can work on such projects also. So pharmaceutical research industries, research and development is a very wide opportunity. Specialty pharmacy, in this, you can, pharmacist dispenses medications like injectables, intravenous, oral medications, any in chronic and life-threatening disease states. So it could be a diabetic specialty, it could be tuberculosis specialty, like that, specialty pharmacy. Life-threatening disease states also, you will be helping the patient. There will be specific clinical monitoring. Some medications require specific clinical monitoring. In that case also specialty pharmacy will help. And many of the medications also have a high cost. So you can work on that. You can work on adverse event profiles of medication. So you will be concentrating on few specialty. So that is about specialty pharmacy. Then we have pharmacy law, regulatory affairs and public policy. Pharmacists, lawyers, after M.Pharm pharmacy practice, you can also learn law and work in areas of patent law, academia, medication related litigations. You can work in insurance companies, boards of pharmacy and related careers. Regulatory affairs pharmacists, they are concerned with the regulations and guidelines for clinical trials. So completely, clinical trials is a highly regulated research, right? So a pharmacist could work in regulatory affairs. You will be working on the regulations and guidelines for clinical trials in and other aspects of human research. Pharmacists in public policy, they work to determine how the regulations, guidelines, and laws affect the patients for whom the pharmacists provide the care. So that is about pharmacy law, regulatory affairs, and public policy. This is also a place where M.Pharm pharmacy practice students found options. Next is pharmacy benefit management. A pharmacy benefit manager is a third-party administrator of prescription drug problems. He is primarily responsible for developing and maintaining the formulary, contracting the pharmacies, negotiating discounts and rebates with drug manufacturers, and processing and paying prescription drug claims. All these are the roles of the pharmacy benefit management. Pharmacist in pharmacy benefit management. So that is, those are the global career options, few global career options discussed. So we'll see about the profiles, few profiles in India: research scientist, regulatory affairs manager, quality assurance manager, medical writer, clinical pharmacist, pharmacy manager, pharmacovigilance associate. All these are the few job profiles. And clinical pharmacist options could be seen in healthcare sector and hospitals. You can be a clinical pharmacist, you can be a drug information pharmacist, you can be a clinical pharmacy manager, research associate, you can be involved in hospital administration. And in pharmaceutical industry, you can, we discussed, you can be involved in research, new drug development, medical writing, you can be involved in clinical data management, regulatory affairs, medical marketing research, and in CROs, contract research organizations, you can be clinical team leads, clinical research associate, programming manager, monitor, and all. In public health sector, you could be a community pharmacist, either in an individual or a chain pharmacy. You can be a project leader. And research and development, pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamic analysis analyst. You could be a PKPD analyst in research and development. In pharmacy practice, you will be trained in clinical therapeutics and drug monitoring, clinical pharmacotherapeutics and therapeutic drug monitoring. So you will be learning about pharmacokinetics of a drug, also about population pharmacokinetics. So if you are interested, you can take a research project in your second year in clinical pharmacokinetics also. So you will have an experience before you go into research and development as a PKPD analyst. You can also work on bioavailability and bioequivalence, and you can be a specialist in it. You can be a medical advisor in medical insurance companies. You can enter into academics as assistant professor. This is a picture showing you few of the companies providing opportunities for M.Pharm pharmacy practice. IQVIA, Icon, Cetera, Piramal Solutions, Cipla, these are all few. TCS, these are all few industries offering, shown here. Okay, there are many more opportunities after your M.Pharm pharmacy practice. So that is all for now. In the next session, you will be learning in detail about pharmacovigilance and clinical research. If there is any question, I could answer. Thank you all. I will wait to answer if there is few questions.
कब खत्म होगा भाई? ये चलेगा कब तक?
Okay, I'm waiting for answering few queries if there is any. I'm looking into the chat. There is no question so far. There is one or two I could answer before we go for the next session. Okay, thank you all for your patient listening. Over to you, sir. Biplab, sir. We can go for the next session now. There is no question from the audience.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay.
Your slide is visible.
So-
Yes, sir.
Good morning, all. Myself, Dr. Biplab Pal, working as assistant professor in the Department of Pharmacy Practice, lovely School of Pharmaceutical Science, lovely professional university. So I will be discussing on clinical pharmacist and the career opportunities in clinical research, pharmacovigilance, and medical writing. So you have learned till now many opportunities for pharmacists. So, okay. So out of that, I will be discussing mainly on clinical research, pharmacovigilance, and medical writing part, because most of the pharma background students nowadays are going to all these three domain mainly. Okay, so I'll be discussing what are the roles the pharmacist playing in these three domains. Okay, what qualities they need to enter into this, and why we want to go to all these three fields. Okay, in details. So all of you know the clinical trial, right? So clinical trial, basically all of us know the investigation of the drugs into the human. Okay. So when I talk about clinical research, it includes preclinical trial, in vitro study, in vitro study, as well as in the biopharma informatics, or where in the software ligand bind with the receptor, all this study will be done. So clinical research involved, clinical trial is a part of clinical research. So when as discussed Kanav sir earlier, when we applied the drugs in human beings, there the pharmacist start playing role. Okay, so what are the opportunities the pharmacist get to enter into the clinical trial? Okay, what are the role they will play? So this is the entry level post. Okay, clinical research coordinator, CRC. So who is this person? So before I discuss about clinical research coordinator, I will tell you where the clinical trials are done. Okay, where clinical research are done or clinical trial are conducted. Which place? Is it inside the pharmaceutical industry? No. It is conducted in the hospital setting. Wherever the diagnostic and therapeutic treatment management is possible, there clinical trials are done. Okay, so clinical trial done the hospital setting, and you know there are 4 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Okay, so this, who is conducting it? Who is giving drug to the patients? Okay, so are pharmacists giving? No. This is the physician working in the hospital. They are administering the drug to the patients, and we call them principal investigator. Remember it. I will keep on telling this in my subsequent slide, principal investigator or PI. So principal investigator is the doctor, leading physician, okay, who is administering drug to the patients. Patients means who are participating in the clinical trial. Okay, we also call subjects. At where the trial are done, we call it site. Okay, we don't call it hospital, we call site. Okay, in the site, clinical trials are done. Now, who is CRC? CRC is the person who is coordinating whole trial. Principal investigator just giving the drugs, okay, diagnosing the disease, and CRC is doing all the remaining work which has to be done by the PI. But PI is very busy. He is a leading cardiologist, neurologist, nephrologist, and he is very busy person. He do not have sufficient time to look after the clinical trial patients. So there are a lot of documentation part. As you know, in the GCP, it is clearly mentioned, if it is not documented, it is not done. So any activity done on the clinical trial patient, it has to be documented. Okay, and this documentation is done by the CRC. Okay, so I'll come to the details what CRC is doing there. Okay. So many pharma graduate as well as master of pharmacy students and PharmD students are going for this entry-level post in the clinical trial, which is a clinical research coordinator. So clinical research coordinator working at hospital level, remember it. Now, who will appoint him? Who will appoint the CRC? So CRC will be appointed by the pharmaceutical company, or he may be appointed by the principal investigator himself. Now, who will pay the salary? If PI appoint him, PI has to pay. If pharma company is appointing him, pharma company will pay. If CRO is there, as Madam told earlier, contract research organization. So CRO is the body who is taking contract for conducting phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 clinical trial from the pharmaceutical company. So pharma company paying whole budget to the CRO, and CRO is looking after all the clinical trial activities. Okay, so maybe pharma company do not have enough manpower to run the clinical trial, so they will shift the work, they will contract this work to the CRO. Okay, so again I repeat, PI is the physician who done the clinical trial, who is giving the drugs to the patients. CRC is the person who is a B.Pharm graduate or M.Pharm completed person, or PharmD graduate, or even the medical background person, MBBS, MD, they are also working as a clinical research coordinator. Okay. So what role they play? So they are playing a vital link. CRC is a vital link between the research subjects. So I told you subjects mean patients. Okay. Their family, the investigator and other site team members. So CRC is a link between whom? Research subject. Who is the subject? Patient who is getting drugs in the clinical trial. Their family members. So CRC is contacting the family members. CRC is talking with the patients. The CRC is talking with the investigator as well as other site team member. Who is other site team member? Study nurse. Nurse who is present in the clinical trial. The CRC is in touch with her on regular basis. Then who is other team member? The phlebotomist who is receiving the drugs from the patients. You know the trial drugs to be given to the patients, and for PK/PD study, we will take the drugs from the patients. So who is taking the drugs? The phlebotomist or technician also involved in the clinical trial. He is receiving the drugs. Okay, that's why we are telling it is CRC is a vital link between all these team members. Okay. Now training new CRCs. So if you are working as a CRC, once you gain experience, you have to provide training to other new CRC. Okay. So maybe from the same company, your junior is coming, who is recently fresher, who is joining into the project. You have to train them once you get experience. Okay. Then coordination with the institutional ethics committee. So every hospital, they have their committee. Who is this committee? This committee is giving approval for conducting clinical trial in the hospital. Okay. A principal investigator cannot start the study until the ethics committee gives permission. Okay. So clinical trial, one single trial done in different hospital of a country. So if I talk about India, maybe the same trial is going on AIMS, Bhubaneswar, AIMS, Delhi. Then it is conducting in CMC, Vellore, CMC, Ludhiana, many other hospitals. Maybe 10 hospitals are there, 20 hospitals are there. Okay. So same clinical trial done in, even in the multinational, one site in India, another site in UK, another site in any other countries. Okay. The same trials can be done on. So we call it multinational clinical trial. So CRC is appointed and he is giving training to the different CRC or new CRC who is appointed recently. Now, so similar way, coordinating the institutional ethics committee. So every hospital have their institutional ethics committee. Without permission of the ethics committee, trial cannot be started. So we need the approval letter for starting the trial at the hospital. So principal investigator or physician has to submit all the details, how the trial will be done, who is the patients, how many patients we need to have in the trial. All document has to be submitted to the ethics committee. Particular day ethics committee will conduct the meeting and they will see if any unethical aspects are there in the clinical trial or not. If it is everything fine, they will give the approval. From the day when the approval given, from that day, the trial can be started. Before that, you cannot do any activity related to the clinical trial. Okay, so what CRC will do, he will submit all the necessary documents to the ethics committee. He will ask when is the meeting, he will convey to the sponsor, this is the meeting date, please send me all the documents for ethics committee, and he will receive the ethics committee approval letter or decision from the ethics committee. Once meeting is done, the decision will come out from the ethics committee that he will share to the sponsor. Okay, sponsor means pharmaceutical company, he will forward. Our side got approval, now we can start our study. Okay, now financial responsibility. So the budget, how much budget required for conducting the trial to a particular site. I'm talking about one hospital where the CRC is working. So CRC will go and talk with the PI. I have a phase 3 trials. How much money do you need for this? Okay. So all of you know the trial is done not only for the humanity, the physicians get huge amount of money for conducting trial. Okay. So every patient's physicians get money. The money budget, when it is decided, it will be decided based on the number of patients will be recruited. If there are 10 patients, maybe the PI is getting 10 lakh or 20 lakh rupees. If there are 100 patients, they are getting more than 1 crore rupees based on the complexity of the trial. Okay, if there is more diagnosis, more follow-up, the amount may be increased. So CRC may go to the physician and talk regarding the budget, the amount they need for running the trial. Okay, so this is called financial responsibility. Then training to the site staff. So CRC may provide training to the site staff on regular basis throughout the trial. Who is the site staff? I told you, study nurse, study technicians, even co-investigators, other physician who is involved in the trial. CRC may provide the training related to the clinical trial protocol or clinical trial conducting at that particular site. Now, investigator meeting and site initiation visit, CRC plays significant role. So, what is the investigators meeting? Okay, investigators meeting. So, the name itself telling when the trial is finalized. Okay, there are 4 hospitals in India. Okay, one is CMC Ludhiana, one is CMC Vellore, another is AIMS Bhubaneswar, another is AIMS Delhi. 4 sites. I'm telling about 4 sites. There are maybe more than 20 sites also for clinical trial. So before we start the first patients recruiting into the trial, there will be a meeting conducted in the 5-star hotel. Okay, so who will attend this meeting and what is the purpose? So all the investigators who are handling the clinical trial project, they will come and meet there. Okay, as well as CRC will come there. Study nurse will come there. All the study staff who is involved in the trial, they will come and attend this meeting. Now, who will pay the money for this? Sponsor, pharma company will pay the money. So as a CRC, you will get the car at your doorstep. You will get into the car. They will take you to the airport, and from airport, they will take you to the 5-star accommodation. There you will entertain in the evening. Morning, the session will start for the investigator meeting. So what they will discuss there? They will discuss details about the protocol. What is the protocol? Details about the clinical trial, how it will be done, who will draw the blood sample, how many times blood sample need to be drawn, how many doses to be given to the patients, what are the study eligibility criteria, everything will be details in the discussion. So there will be good lunch, okay, then dinner, then there will be tourism, okay, there will be separate company will be hired for tourism, they will take you to the different places. So this investigator meeting, many researcher is telling it is just to motivate the PI. So it is not just for motivation or entertainment, it is also the training to the site staff as well as PI. Many person involved in this, they are not about, they do not have clear idea about the clinical trial. So when many B.Pharm graduates are joining, so they may not understand the many concepts behind the clinical trial. So they can clear their doubt at that place. Okay, so the meeting is conducted in a 5-star hotel for 2 to 3 days. So every day after end of the session, they will provide cab for going to the surrounding area. Okay. So it is a entertainment, and in the evening, after completion of that, the cab will come, they will take you to the airport, and from airport, they will drop you to your home. Okay. So that is the investigator meeting. It is done for every clinical trial before you first patients recruited into the study. Then site initiation visit. What is this? So site initiation visit means when the first time monitor, clinical trial monitor or CRA, many of you heard it, clinical research associate. Who is this person? I will tell you in detail. So CRA is the person like a BPharm, MPharm or medical background, even many time life science background people also are entering into the CRA, but it is difficult for them because they know less about the disease and drugs. So master students, master in pharmacy practice, pharmacology, even PharmD graduate and BPharm graduate, they are coming to this field as a CRA. Okay, what is CRA? They will come to the site means hospital, and they will check whether all the documentation are appropriate, whether PI is generating false data. Okay, many times what PI does, there is no patients existed into the trial, they will create the data. Okay, they will unnecessarily create the data to gain money from the company. So CRA will come and check each and every document if there is any error, any deviation from the protocol, any violation of the protocol, whether PI is recruiting false patients or not. So everything will be monitored by the CRA. So first day, when the first patients will be recruited, before that site initiation visit done, so CRC will coordinate the CRA. So CRA will come, he will check everything is fine, medicinal product are stored properly, the investigational drugs is stored properly, and it is available in sufficient number. Okay, it is stored in refrigerator or in the room temperature. If everything is fine, CRA will give green signal to the PI. Okay, you can start the trial. So from that day only, trial will be started. Okay, so investigator meeting and site initiation visit will be coordinated by the CRC. Now, patients recruitment and follow-up. So many of you have doubt how we get the patients into the trial. Okay. So do we pay money? Many of you think they will pay a huge amount of money to get the patients into the trial. No, no money will be provided. So in my students earlier batch, they ask many times how much they get, how much patients get for coming to the trial. Okay, patients do not get any money. Then how they get into the trial? Questions comes, right? So patients do not get money for participating into the clinical trial. If pharma company paid money, ethics committee will not have. That's why the role played by the ethics committee. I told you ethics committee has to give approval. So they will not approve such a study where the money will be paid to the patients. Okay. Yes, money paid in the form of traveling arrangement. When the patients come to the hospital to participate into the trial, so the traveling allowance will be provided, maybe 200 or 500 rupees. Or the day he came to the hospital, he missed his salary, he missed his wage, he is maybe labor or workers, he is earning 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees that particular day, the company will pay that. Okay, no other money will be paid to the for participating into the trial. So what benefit they are getting then? Okay, so many students ask how they are benefited then, why patients will come. There may be unnecessary, unknown, untoward side effect to the patients, right? So then why the patients are coming? So patients will get benefit in the form of free consultation. Okay, no money will be taken from the patients for consulting with the physicians. No investigation charge will be taken. If any diagnosis done for his disease, no money will be taken from the patients. Then all the concomitant therapy. So you know the cancer patients, one-time patients receive the chemotherapy not less than 10 to 20,000. Okay, so every time patients come with cancer and they receive chemotherapy, they have to invest around 20 to 30,000 every time. It is very difficult for poor people to bear. Okay, so these benefit the patients will get. Many HIV patients, then there is no drug which can completely cure. So they come to the trial. Okay, so after the risk and benefit will be discussed completely with the patients. What is the benefit if you take part into the trial? What are the risks? Even the video presentation. When you discuss with the patients for taking into the trial, you have to take the video presentation, right? There will be audio, video recording. So you cannot manipulate or cheat the patients. PI may manipulate the patients. It is a simple drug. It is marketed drugs. You will not get any side effect. It is not possible because Indian government has forced to do it. It is mandatory to do the video consenting. So when you discuss with the patients related to clinical trial, you have to record the video. Okay. Then research, pharmacy, drug accountability, and laboratory responsibility. Drug accountability. What is drug? Proper storage condition has to be maintained by the CRC. How much amount of drugs they receive from the company, they have to keep a record of that. Okay. Then lab responsibility. The day the patients came into the hospital for receiving clinical trial the drugs, so same day maybe the blood is required to be drawn. So CRC has to call to the technician to come and receive the drugs from the patients. Okay. Then post-trial activities. So once the trial is completed, all the documents generated, there will be huge number of documents. You cannot even imagine for how much document generated from the trial. So these document has to be maintained at the site. So that has to be done by the CRC. Then informed consent form. Many times CRC provide the consent form. Consent form means if you want to take patients into the clinical trial, you have to give consent. Like for surgery, if any of your family members or anyone you have taken to the hospital for surgery, they give one consent. If 5% risk are there, okay, involved in this operation. So are you agreeing that or not? So if you give sign, then only they will take your patients to the operation room. So similar way, if you want to take patients into the trial, you have to explain him everything. Once patients is clear about all the procedures in the trial, they will sign the document. That is the consent form. Okay. This is the place where many doctors do not give clear idea earlier. Okay. They do not give clear picture what may happen to the patients if we give the drugs. But nowadays it is not possible because we have video consenting, audio video recording of the consenting process. So each and every aspects of the trial will be discussed. What are the side effects patients will get during the trial? Patients will ask, you have to clearly tell. Okay. So I forgot to mention patients recruitment and follow-up. Patients CRC has to attend every patient. Once the patients recruited means once patients enter into the clinical trial, patients will receive the drugs at regular basis. For maybe in a month, 4th time he will receive the drugs. So 4th time, patients may remain admitted in the hospital, or after receiving the drugs, he may go to the home and he will come back for the next drug. So the CRC has to call the patients, okay, today you have visit, please come. So these follow-up will be taken by the CRC. Okay. Then informed consent form. So these are the major responsibility paid by the CRC. Okay. There are many more roles. It is not difficult to cover due to time foundation. So this is the main role played by the CRC. So they will enter the data into the, even in the clinical trial software. There are many software used by the company for entering the data. So they will enter the data into the software, that also done by the CRC. Okay, now I'll come to the another post pharma graduate update for nowadays is clinical research associate. Okay, CRA or clinical trial monitor. Many of you heard already, I hope. Okay, clinical research associate, also known as monitor, work on behalf of sponsor funding clinical trial for new or existing drug, device, surgery, or behavioral intervention. So clinical trial not only done for the drugs, it is also for devices. Any medical devices that has to pass through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 trial. Any surgery, which is new type of surgery, it has also passed through the trial. Vaccine, okay. Vaccination you are giving for corona vaccine, it has already passed through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 trial. So it is done for vaccine, devices, existing drugs, any behavioral intervention. For all these aspects, we can do the clinical research, the clinical trial. So clinical research associate, again, many BPharm, PharmD, Pharma, postgraduate candidate, they are opting for clinical research associate. Again, yes, being a fresher, is it possible to enter? Yes, being a fresher, a person can enter into the clinical research associate. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 level. So at entry level, they will give you as a CRA 1. Okay, so what you will do? You will be working and sitting at the office, pharmaceutical office, clinical trial office, which is located at the most of the capital cities. Okay, so there CRA will sit, and what he will do? From there, he has to travel to the different hospital. So CRA is a traveling job. So what type of traveling? It is a flight traveling. How many times I have to flight? I have to travel at least 15 days in a month. Okay, at least 10 to 15 days. It may go beyond that. So there is a flight traveling. Who will book the flight? Company will give you every time the flight booking. Okay, so CRA will start his day in the early morning. He will get up in the early morning, run for catching the flight, and from the flight he will drop at the airport, and from there he has to reach to the hospital, and the hospital whole day he will work. He will verify the documentation and everything, and in the evening he will come back. Okay, so CRA, they get enough money for all the travelings and food and accommodation other than the main salary. Okay, other than salary. So suppose CRA went to the hospital. So when he will go for lunch, CRA has to take all the site staff, PI, study nurse, technicians, everybody have a lunch there. Okay, and the reimbursement will be done by the CRA. CRA has to bear the cost, and they will be paid by the pharma company. Okay. So what role and responsibility they are paying? Undergo regular training in regulation, SOP, guidelines, trial protocol, and procedures. So CRA get the training from where? They get the training from senior CRA or project manager or team lead. Okay. Identify and pre-screen potential investigators and their facility. Identify and pre-screen potential investigators and their facilities. What does it mean? So CRA identify this particular site is capable for running my trial. So who identify? I will give my project to AIMS Delhi, AIMS Patna, or Bhubaneswar, or CMC Ludhiana Hospital. Who decided it? This is the CRA decided. I will give this clinical trial phase 3 study to this particular doctor working in AIMS Patna or AIMS Delhi. Okay. Pre-screen potential investigator. Potential investigator means who has good patients pool, who can give enough number of patients to a particular site. So pre-screen potential investigators and their facilities. What facilities we are talking about? For running the clinical trial, maybe we need echocardiography. We maybe need PET scan. We need MRI. Whether that hospital is able to give these facilities or not. So the CRA has to verify it. CRA has to go to that hospital. He will talk to the principal investigator. He will ask him how many patients you can give for this particular condition. Then he decides whether to give this project to this particular PI or not. Okay, this is the role CRA play. So CRA sitting at the Delhi head office, and he has to go. He has to travel to the Kolkata. He has to travel to the Guwahati or Hyderabad or different place. Even CRA goes to the abroad also for the site. Maybe some site is there in the European countries, so he has to travel from the Delhi to the European countries for monitoring the site. Okay, so all the traveling arrangement, ticket, fare, no need to worry about. Just you have to drop a mail in this time, in this day, I want to go to the Europe, this site, this particular hospital. The company will arrange your ticket. Okay. Then prepare and customize patient's information and consent form. So the patient information and consent form customization is the part of CRA. Then complete and coordinate ethical submission in partnership with the selected site. So ethical submission means, I told you, all the clinical trial has to be approved by the ethics committee. So ethics committee need lot of documents. Who will send this? CRA has to keep an eye that all the documents are up to date and are forwarding to the hospital. Okay, he will forward all the document to the CRC. CRC will take all the document and submit to the ethics committee located at that particular hospital. Okay, so trial budget, how much PI need money for conducting a trial, that has to be done by the CRA. I told you, experienced CRC sometimes negotiate, but most of the time CRA will go and talk to the physician regarding the trial budget, how much money he needs for particular trial. Okay, so how much money they need, it depends on the trial, whether it is phase 4 trial or phase 3 trial. Phase 4 is very low budget. They will pay maybe 2,000, 3,000 per patients, but phase 3, phase 2, they pay more than 1 lakh per patients based on the complexity of the trial. Okay. Then set up a study center with appropriate trial material and training provided by the CRA to the site staff. Appropriate trial material. What is the meaning of trial material? We need blood sample from the patients. So all the vials, cannula, who will be forwarding? Drugs, who will forward to the site? CRA will take care of this. CRA has to see how many vials required that hospital, that particular site. So CRA will forward that. Okay. How many drugs they need, whether they need refrigerator, they will send that refrigerator to the hospital. So CRA has to taking care of all these things. Assist at investigator meeting. Now I told you, investigator meeting is done in the five-star hospital, five-star hotel. So all the PI and site staff come to this five-star hotel, and there will be accommodation, fooding and lodging, everything. So CRA has to give the presentation of all the protocols. CRA, project manager and medical team are there who will present the various aspects of the protocol in front of all the PI and trial staff. So anybody have any doubt in that time, they will clear their queries. Okay, there will be medical team who will handle the medical query raised by the physicians or principal investigator. Then the other part will be taken care by the CRA as well as project manager from the pharma company. Okay. So help study site develop and implement recruitment plan. Recruitment plan means how we will recruit the patients. So the main challenging part of clinical trial is the patients recruitment. Okay, trial we do not get very difficult to get the patients into the trial. Okay, it is very difficult to get the patients to trial. So the CRA has to take appropriate action when there is a recruitment is low. Suppose there is no recruitment. So what will be the problem? They will not get patients. And if they do not get patients, trials will not be completed. If trials is not completed, pharma company is waiting for 10 to 15 years to bring the drugs into the market. But if this is the delay, they will be delaying in the marketing. So they are investing billions of dollars for developing this molecule. They will not be able to bring it into the market if the patients, they do not get into the trial. Okay, so sponsor will keep on calling CRC as well as PI. Okay, please give us some patients into the trial. If there is no patients into the trial, CRA will arrange a special meeting. Yes. Hello. Yes, Sakshi ma'am, please mute yourself. Okay. Help study site develop and implement recruitment plan. So they will develop a special type of meeting to get more patients. They will give advertisement in various journals to recruit the patients. Okay, if you visit hospital where the trial is done, you will see outside various publication, various advertisement posted. If you are positive for HIV, you can come into this trial. Okay, so there will be some benefits. So they will be written in that advertisement. Visit study site regularly to monitor the study. So what does it mean? So CRA has to visit the different sites at a regular interval of time. Okay. They will check the data, enter into the data collection form called case report form. Case report form means it is data collection form from each patient. The CRC has to collect the data and CRA has to verify that the data collection form are completely and accurately filled by the CRC. Okay. Then collect the completed CRF from the study site. So CRA comes, they will collect CRF. CRF, again, I am telling data collection form. The data which is generated from the trial will be collected into the CRF. This CRF will be taken by the CRA and they will forward to the pharma company. So ultimately, from clinical trial, what pharma company get? Pharma company. So I'll get the question, Sakshi ma'am, very soon. Once let me finish it, then I will get your questions. Okay, so CRF is nowadays they are electronic CRF or eCRF. The data is directly entered from the patient's file into the software. But earlier, but still it is used paper CRF. Okay, there is a paper file, patient's file that is called CRF. There directly we enter by hand. We write there. Okay, so those writing part will be collected by the CRA and he will take with him to the pharmaceutical company, and pharma company, they have data management team. Even many BPharm, PharmD graduate and informal candidate, they are working there as a clinical data management part. Okay, they will manage this data which is generated from the clinical trial site. Okay, then writing report for all communication and visit at the study sites. Okay, so when he is coming and visiting the site, he has to record all the findings. What are the findings they are getting in the trial? They will record it. So, for example, maybe the CRC forgot to enter the data into the trial. So, he will generate the report, kindly enter this data, it was missed. Or PI did not receive his fees. So, CRA has to take care of his fees. Okay, so all the query generated from the site has to be taken care by the CRA. Okay, then facilitate expedited safety reporting from the site. Safety reporting means any adverse drug reaction received at the site. Many patients get adverse drug reaction. So that has to be reported to the pharmacovigilance team. So again, pharmacovigilance, many B.Pharm, M.Pharm candidates are working. They are receiving the many safety report from the clinical trial site. All the side effects, serious adverse reaction occurring at the hospital, it is going to the pharmacovigilance team for processing it. What they are processed, I will tell you. Help the site solve any problems they may have with recruiting and retaining patients, conducting the study and collecting the data. Any problem generate during recruiting and retaining the patients. What is the meaning of recruiting and retaining? Once the patients came into the trial, maybe very next day patient is telling, I don't want to continue the trial. I'm getting side effects. I want to come out from the trial. Okay, so CRA is helping to retain the patients. Okay, there are various strategies how we can retain the patients. We maintain good relationship with the patients. Okay, there are some techniques are there to retain the patients. Many patients will tell after receiving 5 days of therapy, no, I'm not comfortable with this new therapy. Kindly treat me with the standard therapy. Okay, so they will come out from the trial. So PI has to allow the patients to come out. You cannot forcefully keep anybody into the clinical trial. Okay. Then spends considerable time in filing and collecting data, clinical trial documentation and report, complete drug accountability, all trial supplies. What is the meaning of drug accountability? CRA send 10 packet of tablets into the site. So CRA will come and verify that out of 10 packets, 5 patients got the 5 packets, remaining 5 are at the sites. So it should not be stolen, theft or missed from the site. So drug accountability, how many patients receive, how many remaining there. So this drug accountability is the responsibility of the clinical trial. He will verify it, CRA will verify it. Now closing down the sites and archive documents at the end of trial. Once the trial is done, site is closed, means no more patients will be recruited at the site. Archive documentation, all the clinical trial data after collecting, the second copy remain at the site that will remain there up to 5 years at the hospital. Okay, so PI has to agree that I will store these documents up to 5 years at my particular site. They will put their signature in the documents in the agreement. I will keep it for 5 years, and the clinical trial site is closed. CRA will come and thanks to the PI for his cooperation, and all the dues, salary, everything will be cleared up. And from that day, site is closed. No more activity will be done at the site. Then what will happen to the CRC? Once the site is closed, CRC will be shifted to other project. Okay, same pharma company will shift him. If the same project is coming to that particular hospital, CRA will shift into that project. If there is no project coming to that hospital, CRC has to go to other hospital at the different cities or maybe in the same cities. Okay, so this is the career growth of the CRA. So many CRC after 1 or 2 years of experience, they are shifted to CRA. So you can see CRA at 1+ experience, then 4+, we called it senior CRA, then clinical team lead, okay, CTM, clinical trial manager, okay, then clinical trial director, then vice president, clinical operation. So the clinical operation we called all these activities, CRC, CRA, hospital management, patients recruitment, all these activity done by that department called clinical operation. Remember it. Any company you are working in the clinical operation means you are working in the patients recruitment sections. You are not handling with the data. You are not working in pharmacovigilance or medical writing. You are handling the patients at the clinical trial site and working in this domain. Then we have pharmacovigilance. So in the clinical trial, you can work as a clinical research coordinator, clinical research associated. Then you will be promoted to that clinical trial assistant project manager, VP, like this. Okay. Then we have pharmacovigilance. Now it is booming nowadays. A lot of opportunities are coming. Okay. So a pharmacovigilance associate or drug safety officer, you will support the pharmacovigilance department in fulfilling the obligation for reporting side effects. So I'll come to the details. Many of you are not aware. I'll give you the basic concept, what those pharmacovigilance. So if you get a job, what task you will do then. Okay. So you know the serious adverse reaction which is generated at the clinical trial. Suppose the PI given the drugs to the patient and many patients expired after receiving the drugs. That report has to be immediately sent to the PV team. PI has to send the report to the pharmacovigilance team. They will process it. Okay, they will prepare, many formatting are there. Many different formats are there. They will fill the data and they will forward to the regulatory body if one patient in the clinical trial has been died. Okay, they have certain timeline. Again, they will forward the same data to other hospital where the clinical trial is going on. The same report has to be submitted to the ethics committee if one patient has been died into the trial. So all these tasks are done by the pharmacovigilance team. So I'll go briefly on this, taking care of rapid and timely processing of new and follow-up reports of the adverse event. Adverse event means if a patient in the clinical trial, anything happened to the trial. If the patient died by accident, that will be considered as an adverse event. Okay, if the patient in the clinical trial, he went home and suicide, it will be considered as an adverse event, though it is may or may not have relationship with the investigational drugs. So this is called adverse event, side effect as well as serious adverse events and suspected, unexpected serious adverse reaction or SUSARs. Okay, all this will be taken care by the pharmacovigilance team. Then processing all the adverse events, serious adverse event, SUSAR, suspected, unexpected, these terms you will learn when you will go for higher study, or even in the B Pharm, we have pharmacovigilance. You already heard what is SUSAR. Okay, in the global safety database according to the applicable company policies and standard operating procedure. So all this pharmacovigilance team, they are handling with SAE, AEs, SUSARs, okay, PSUR, periodic safety update reports. So they are handling with mainly adverse reaction. Many kind of adverse reaction. They are processing it, they are sending to the pharma company, they are sending to the other hospital, they are sending to the different regulatory body, they are sending to the ethics committee. Okay, so partly responsible for timely reporting of the adverse events, and in the event that the adverse event and side effect arises from clinical trial to the ethics committee, drug safety management board, DSMB, it is made by the pharmaceutical company or sponsor company for looking after the safety profile of the medication. Okay, so DSMB, they will forward, the pharmacovigilance team will format the documents, change the documents, and proper formatting, they will send the documents to the DSMB, Drug Safety Monitoring Board, then steering committee of the respective clinical trial. Then contracting report for the adverse events and side effects to obtain the complete information for analysis. Sorry, ensuring that product complaints are assessed according to the AESA SUSAR criteria and forwarding eventual AEs and SUSARs to the head office. Okay, so contributing to keep local process procedure. So I'll not go to line by line, and let me tell you. Well, once the product is marketed, suppose phase 4 product is successful, phase 4 product is marketed after completion of clinical trial, it is in market. So in Indian scenario, after the drugs came into the market, up to 4 years, the safety report has to be sent by the company to the regulatory authority. Again, I repeat, so it depends country to country. In Indian scenario, once the new drug launched to the market, up to 4 years, the pharma company has to send the safety report. Means once it came to the market, a lot of people will use, they will get many kind of side effects, adverse reactions, serious adverse reaction. It has to be picked by the pharmaceutical company and it has to be forwarded to the regulatory authority. It is mandatory, and this task done by the pharmacovigilance people. Okay, they will receive the adverse drug reaction, they will collect the data from the literature, and they will report to the regulatory authority. So we call it periodic safety update reports, PSUR. Okay, now another, so there are many post agents under pharmacovigilance, but they are all dealing with this one. Okay, then I'll go to the medical writing, another aspects of many pharma professionals going to this field. So medical writing means once clinical trial is done, the sponsor has to publish the data. Okay, they cannot keep it with them. Once clinical trial complete, it has to come to the public domain. Okay, whatever it may be. If any patient died, efficacy is low, more reaction occurring to the patients, you have to publish this. So many of you are in B Pharm final year, you know, you have written the many capstone project, publication. So that time you are publishing, right? Who is writing that? Medical writer is writing. Suppose most of the European students I have seen, they are sending their manuscript to the medical writer. So if you want, I am a medical writer, I have good writing skill, I have good skills, I can write individually, you can open your freelancer company. Okay, so where you will get project? You will get project from the students. They will ask you, I'll pay this much money, kindly write this manuscript on behalf of me. This is the work many medical writers are doing. Okay, So you will get after completion of M.Pharm, even B.Pharm students also, those have good knowledge of disease and drugs, they are coming into this field, medical writing and scientific writing field. They are writing the publication, they are writing the protocol. Protocol means the clinical trial done, how it is designed, so how it has to be done, all the procedure written in the details in the protocol. So those protocol are writing by the medical writing team. Okay, so many people, even MD medicine, MD pharmacology, MD community medicine, they are also working as a medical writer, scientific writer. Even many PhD after completion of pharmacy practice, pharmacology, they are entering into this field because they are paying good salary into the medical writing post. So you will find medical writer in the pharmaceutical company, CRO, contract research organization. So CROs conduct clinical studies, help pharma companies to get their product registered with the international. So, you know, once the product is successful, suppose after completion of phase 3 trials, what company is doing, pharma company, they have to prepare the report and submit to the regulatory body. So who will prepare the report? Who will write those reports? So they will be written by the medical writer. So they are giving the task to the medical writing people. Again, I repeat, once phase 1 trial is done, so I have to submit all the data generated from the phase 1 trial. This is a huge number of data. Okay, we have to. It takes a lot of times to the regulatory body to view it. So the medical writer will prepare the report based on the result or outcome of the trial. They will submit to the regulatory body. Once the regulatory body approve, okay, phase 1 trial is successful. Now you can start phase 2 trial. So every time trial completed, the documentation part has to be written by the medical writer. Okay. So you have seen even the medical writer, other tasks they are doing. For example, you have seen the detailing of medical representative detailing. Okay, they are going to the physician and telling this is the product, this is the packing, our efficacy is this much, safety is this much. So who is writing all those things? Medical writer. Okay. Even they are writing the thesis. Many I have seen cactus. Okay, indigent in India, they are writing even the thesis of the students. Okay, thesis writing also doing by the medical writers. Okay, they may also involve in the preparation of manuscript for publication in medical journal. Okay, they may also involve in writing projects such as training manual, promotional material for marketing purpose and website. Okay, so many writers in communication agencies generally prepare manuscript for publication, item for conference, poster, abstract, slide presentation, promotional item for marketing, training materials. Okay, so many writers work as a freelance basis, which is an attractive option for some people. So if you want to start your freelance, you have to get some experience into the pharma company, then you can open your freelance. You individually can write the manuscript for others. So what qualification a person needs for entering into the clinical trial pharmacovigilance medical writer? So generally, if you look the advertisement of job, they need MBBS, MD, or B.Pharm, PharmD, M.Pharm completed candidate. So is it possible for B.Pharm to handle? Yes, B.Pharm who has some knowledge about the clinical trial, drug safety, or at least basic knowledge of drugs and disease, they are entering into the B.Pharm, but it is always better to go with higher study, because higher study will give you confidence. You have to deal with the doctors, many leading physicians of India as well as international. Until you have good confidence and good knowledge, you cannot deal with them. That is why higher education is always essential to handle these things. So you will give presentation in front of leading cardiologist, leading neurologist, leading chemotherapist. So it is very difficult until you have good sound knowledge. That's why it is always advised to go for higher study and enter into this field. Then excellent computer skills the candidate require, good writing skill. Then if you go for medical writing, they need publication experience, preferably as a first author on paper published in medical journal. Then they have good writing power in English, basic knowledge of biostats we need. Okay, so if you are going for writing, no, there will be some statistical part. So you have already read in the B.Pharm, in the master or higher level, you will learn better biostatistics, then literature review and evaluation capabilities. Okay, so if you look some of the job vacancies currently in 2021 and 22 published, you can see Novo Nordisk. They are paying very good salary. Novo Nordisk looking for associate medical writer. Okay, then you can see Seniors Healthcare. They are medical writer 2, medical senior medical writer 2, medical senior medical writer opening. You can see Icon Clinical Research Associate, which I already discussed. Then Semi Savinsa clinical research associated, B Pharm and M Pharm they need, then clinical research associate, Novartis they look, AIMS, even in the AIMS, okay, AIMS hospital, lot of AIMS are open in the India now. So AIMS, the government body, they also need clinical research coordinator job. Not only AIMS, I'm telling all the ICMR lab, ICMR hospital, continuously they are opening for clinical research coordinator. Then you know the PGI Chandigarh, if you visit their site, you will find clinical research coordinator job. Then pharmacy graduate, you can see many more vacancies coming on drug safety associate, medical writer, clinical research coordinator. Okay, so these are the job profiles. So I'll tell you about the salary strategy in Indian scenario. As a clinical research coordinator, many students ask me about the salary. So CRC as a B Pharm, they are paying 25 to 30K. As a M Pharm and PhD, they are paying around 35 to 40 as a clinical research coordinator. Same as a CRA, clinical research associate, starting pay at least 30,000. Okay, it may go to 50, 60 as a fresher. Okay, and for medical writer, they are giving currently my PhD, one of my PhD students joined recently, so he's getting around 60,000 in Indigent Pharmaceutical. You will be knowing it. So many M-Pharm graduate, M-Pharm juniors, they are working after currently our earlier batch students, you will be knowing Sumir, then Manisha, they are working in pharmacovigilance, Paraxel, and many other companies, they are getting around 40 to 50 at the starting pay. Okay, so that's all about the opportunities after completion of clinical pharmacist. Being a clinical pharmacist, you can get job in these areas. So if you have any questions related to this area, I'll be happy to handle. So is it possible if we have done DPharm? Deepam is asking, is it possible if we have done DPharm? So your question is not clear, Deepam. You mean to say after DPharm, he wants to go for higher study or he wants to enter into this field? As a DPharm, it is very difficult to enter into this field. At least they need graduation. Okay, so I never seen they are taking any DPharm students. But for Pharm D, yes, it is a good opportunity for Pharm D. Okay, then one more questions from Sakshi was, is there any difference between Pharm D and M-Pharm pharmacy practice? Though both Pharm D and pharmacy practice called pharmacy practice domain, okay, but in the pharmacy practice, we as a M-Pharm pharmacy practice, we are not learning anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, microbiology. Okay, some subjects difference are there. Otherwise, the job scope is almost same, but pharmacy practice are more, we are entering into the research area more compared to Pharm D. Otherwise, no major difference between Pharm D or pharmacy practice at M-Pharm level. Any more questions, anybody? Yes, very good questions, Nitesh. How can a fresher join in clinical research associate in industries? It is a very good questions, and as a freshers, everybody's mind it comes. Okay, so as a fresher, how it is possible to get? So I will suggest those who are fresher, at least you read about the GCP, good clinical practice. Okay, and basic of pharmacovigilance, which is already there in the B Pharm. What is adverse drug reaction, what is adverse event, what is SUSAR, what is PSUR, okay, what are the roles, and you read about drug classification and keep some pharmacological knowledge and keep some aptitude skills, okay, so that you will get job definitely. Read about GCP, one PDF is available, you type GCP in Google, you will find one PDF. It is called Bible of Clinical Trial. You just go through each and every pages of it is important. Download it, read it, okay, and you appear for interview. You will get it. Any more questions? Yes. Just go through each and every pages of it is important. Download it, read it, okay, and you appear for interview. You will get it. Any more questions? Yes. Download it, read it, and appear for it. Okay, so next question is it necessary to have reference? It is not necessary. I have seen many of my juniors, senior, they are getting job without any reference. Okay, so next question is it necessary to have reference? It is not necessary. I have seen many of my juniors, senior, they are getting job without any reference. So next question is it necessary to have reference? It is not necessary. I have seen many senior and getting job. Any more questions? Anyone? Any more questions? If anybody having? Yes, Palak is asking, can we do Form D after B Form? Is it a good option? Okay, so I'll suggest after B Farm you come for master. So though Farm D is a 6 years course, so I'll suggest to go for M Farm in pharmacy practice, which is a 2 years course. Within 2 years you will get that degree. If you go for Farm D again, it is 3 years degree, and the both are similar. So you will be postgraduate. You have another option if you can go for teaching as well. If you do not enter into the clinical trial or vigilance or medical writer, you have good option for teaching. You can even teach to the B Pharm students if required. So it is better if you come to the pharmacy practice master even. Yes, Palak, is it clear? Okay. Sarvanna Ghosh, company names are where we can apply. Yes, so I'll leave some of the company names where the freshers they are taking. Okay, so you type in the Google, you will find it. Okay, so you can write Paraxel. Okay, Max Neiman International. Recently it is called JSS Medical. JSS Medical, Paraxel. Okay, Icon. They are taking CRA 1, Clinical Research Associate 1. Then Quintiles. Okay. Then you can write Covance. So you will keep your eye open whenever the opening are coming. You apply there. There are many time walk-in interview also in the CRO industry. Many CRO industry, you can find a lot of CRO in India. You can download it from the Google. You can contact them. Okay, you can visit their site if opening is there. Even as a CRC, you can join. Later on, you can shift it to the CRA. Sir, how can we develop our skill for such post, especially for who want to join? Okay, so how can you develop the skill? So I told you, you read about GCP, and in the B Farm already read the pharmacovigilance. Kindly get the concept behind all the topic given in the pharmacovigilance. Or else, if you want to go for higher study, you can join PG I told you in the patient's care area where patients are involved. In the hospital setup, like in the told you, Pharm D or pharmacy practice, students, they are exposed to the patient's care area. They are going to the hospital, they are visiting, they are interacting with the different patients. So they have very good opportunity to enter into the field. If you want for higher study, you can go for pharmacy practice department. Okay. Otherwise, as a BPharm, you can download, I told you, GCP, read it carefully, improve your aptitude and communication skill, writing skills, presentation skills. Even if you can try as a freshers BPharm. But it is always better to go after higher study because it will boost your confidence, because you have to talk with many leading physicians, which is very difficult being a BPharm student. Okay. If next question by Nitesh, if someone wants to go for DRA, drug regulatory affairs, I hope, will he go for MPharm 2 years or regulatory affairs diploma? Okay, both are useful. Both the people can go. Even in the persons who are after diploma also can enter into the drug regulatory affairs. Even MPharm also they can enter. Both are good, but it is always better to have master rather than diploma, I suggest, because it will broaden your scope future. Okay, any more questions? Hope I cleared all of your doubt. If you still get any questions, okay, many of you know me who do not know, they can directly mail to the coordinator, they will get back to me. Okay, I'll definitely answer your queries. Thank you all.
I thank everyone who are being the part of this session. Thank you, Dr. Biplav Pal. Thank you, Dr. Kanav Kheda, as well as Dr. Saranya. I thank you all for giving such a valuable session to the students. I hope it would help them in upcoming career of theirs. So, and along with this, I thank all the students who have joined from different parts of the colleges and universities. Thank you all. Thank you so much.